Hello and welcome. This is the Corporate Development Academy, Codac. It's a series of training sessions that cut across all spheres of life. I am Chibuzo Okechukwu. Today, I'm glad to bring you our maiden edition, which I've titled, It's Time to Adapt. Look, with the advent of the COVID-19 pandemic in the world today, a lot of things have changed. Perhaps you're the kind of person who feels the natural thing to do is to retreat, to surrender, to give up, to go into a state of depression, as not many people seem to understand what this means for their careers, for their businesses, for their lifestyles, and even for their families. What you need to understand is that this sort of challenges come to test our resolve. It's come to help us, and in some cases, to force us to re-strategize. It's not time to give up. It is time to adapt. So what does it mean to adapt in the first place? Okay. According to the dictionary, to adapt means to modify, to make something more developed and make it more suitable for use or for its purpose. It means to improve, to transform, to customize, to adjust, to reshape, to reorganize, to change, to do things in new ways, just to make things better. To adapt means to improve. You need to be ready to shift gears. You must be ready to take things differently. You have to change the way you see things, change the way you do things. Let me just tell you, things are no longer the way they used to be. And if I may say, after the pandemic and after the lockdown, things may never remain the same again. You must accept this and move on. So what that you may not have the same customer interactions as you once had with your businesses? Yeah, that may be affected. But don't let your customers' satisfaction be affected. I understand it's going to be tougher now with social distancing, with the lockdown, with restricted movements, with checkpoints everywhere, with reduction in sales, with some people not having to go to school, no jobs, no business activities. But you don't need to physically see your customers to adequately provide the services that they require. Now is the time to develop other ways of conducting business. Let me give you an example. Do you remember back in the day when you had to physically go into the bank to make a deposit, to make a withdrawal, to interact with the customer agents, with the banking agents? Now, with the tap of your phone, you're on the phone with the customer agents. With your ATM cards, you're doing transactions. You're using the POSs. You're making online transactions. This is because that was the only possible way for banks to adapt to the change in times. Do you recall when you had to go all the way outside, walk quite a distance to look for a taxi? In some cases, you stand for long hours, long minutes before the taxi comes. What do we have now? Right in your sitting room, right on your bed, at the comfort of your own self, you tap various buttons and a taxi comes to you, takes you where you have to go. It actually reduces the bargaining power of these taxi drivers who consider the weather, consider how desperate you are before they give you a price. Some even look at how you're dressed. You must adapt. Now let me tell you just two things that you must do in order to adapt. First of all, you must develop a new schedule. Change the structure, change your program. Yes, when you had school, when you had work, when you had business to run, you spend 5 hours at school, 5 hours at work, 8 hours in the office. Who says you cannot spend the same time doing something more productive? All the previous hours that you use for stuff can be used for businesses now. Develop yourself. Pick up a book and read. There's a lot of information that you can gather. Secondly, and this is a very obvious one, utilize the internet. Look, the fact that you can hear me now is evidence that you can utilize the internet. I'm doing this because I had to adapt. Long before now, I would sit in a room, put people together and have physical trainings, physical entrepreneurial development sessions. But now, we're on social media. There's so much information on the internet. You can develop your new customers online. Be active on social media. Use your pages for the right things. There's so much I have to say, but I will round this off now. In order for you to get to where you would like to get, you must change the way you do things. So a phenomenon, so a pandemic, So a government policy, whatever it may be, has come to change how your business is running currently, has affected your place of work, has affected your education. You can adapt to what works. Find out what is currently trending. At what point in the current train can I penetrate myself? Adaptation is necessary for today's level of survival and success. Thank you very much. Let me just quickly add that we're going to be running various topics like I mentioned earlier. So please send in your comments. Let's keep the conversation going. I would really like to hear from you. Send us a message. Send us an email. This is Codac.